shape for all time, ours the right. The sun will lead us, our reason to be here.
You know, they never even rehearsed or knew that they were going to be singing that together. It was just John.
Yeah.
And we just started singing it and showed up in the mic and started doing it.
I'm almost gonna show the video as well.
That's Amor Real. Yeah, that's Amor Real. You might see me there jumping with long hair and all that.
Who's that coming on trying to say what it is? Can't seem to understand what he's trying to say to me.
La canción no sabe el son, no sabe eso, es lo que quiere ser, es que muy bien tú no debes ser.
Same song, different words, does he realize? Doesn't seem to get through to you anyway.
Todo bien, todo mal, todo el mundo vendo así como es, que es lo que tú ves tú sientes en ese lugar.
Seems everybody got a view how it is, what it is, doesn't seem to hit you in the right spot. Busca otra manera.
Busco otra manera. Otra manera. Amor real. Amor real. Amor.
Somebody out there trying to tell us what to do. Seems the only way is out. Seems the only way is you.
Como es en todos son conteúdos, quieren un camino de flores, todo al final.
Nobody was told how to see the way to go. Everybody goes the way the wind blows. Get another sister.
Busco otra manera.
Get another sister. Yeah.
Otra manera. Amor real. Amor real. Amor.
That was magic, wasn't it?
Yes, magic, definitely.
Yes, that was. I mean, there's a whole story behind that song and behind that event.
Yeah. Well, now, did you say you helped write it? Is that what you said?
I wrote the song with John. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I are we on? Do
Yes,
you
we're
want?
on. We're on now.
Okay. All right. Hello.
Hi, yeah, let's just say hello first. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
This is my guest and Eduardo
Del. Del.
Del Signore. Sorry, I've been
Yeah.
leaving that out.
I gotta close the door. All right.
Okay. And yeah, we have known each other in some interesting ways here in LA. But anyway, I'm really happy to have him on the show. He's got a very interesting history, and that was in Brazil.
That was in Brazil. That was an event called Natal Sem Fome, which in Portuguese means Christmas without hunger. It was an event organized by Milton Nascimento
Yeah.
in association with Channel 11 TV Bandeirantes, I think it was called in Brazil. And the whole purpose was it was a concert benefit that was streamed live, broadcast live, and in the whole country, we had an audience of 45 million people. It was like, I mean, I could feel that on stage, you know, and particularly
Wow.
with those two guys. Yeah. So, there is a dog in the house. I don't know if you noticed.
Wants to be on the show.
So I have been working with a producer that was doing John and Vangelis' last album, last collaboration. It was called Page of Life, and that's how I met John. And immediately, it was kind of like an instant thing.
An instant
and yeah, and we started collaborating. I played on several of his solo albums, and one day he calls me. He was after a year's tour. He was stopping at Big Bear, and he said in his high pitched voice, "I want to do a Latin album."
I have to admit, I don't really know about John.
Oh, John Anderson is the lead singer from the band, the supergroup, Yes, from England.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, they were the creators of one of the pieces there, Soon. That was, I think it was included on an album called Relayer, and Roundabout, Close to the Edge, Owner of a Lonely Heart. I mean,
I recognize his voice too. His voice is very distinctive,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always was attracted to his voice since my early days in Uruguay. 1972. That was the first time I heard on the radio an album called Close to the Edge. There was a song called And You and I. And I was alone in my family's house at the beach. The fireplace was there. I was listening to this radio, and then this music came out, and it's like, wow. So the radio had a cassette player and recorder, so I recorded it. And I didn't know who they were, but I listened to that a lot, and I always thought that then I became aware of Milton's work, and I always imagined that they could work really nice together, those two voices. They're so unique. Beautiful. and compatible. And after, like about 5 years after 1977, I started traveling on a sailing boat, and I was in the middle of a dictatorship, military dictatorship in Uruguay, and there was hardly anything that you could do without ending up in jail for you. You never knew what was going to happen. There were no guarantees.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a long story.
Well, we got 2 hours.
I ended up living on a sailing boat. There were some people. There was a French guy and a Senegalese guy traveling on a sailing boat from Senegal. They crossed the Atlantic to the north of Brazil, and they were going down to Buenos Aires to get new sails for the boat.
Yeah.
But before crossing to Buenos Aires, they stopped in Punta del Este and then Montevideo in Uruguay. And one of the members of a band that I put together there, we were doing 3 nights concert. It was a band called Karma. Things that occur to you, you know. And one of the guys from the band met the French guy that was the owner of the boat at a party, like the night after the second course concert. And he invited him and the African guy to come to the concert next day, and I didn't know. I had no idea. But I had a part that I play a bass solo, and then I was playing something groovy, and then I looked to my side, and this wonderful, you know, black sculptural type of looking guy with a big smile was dancing to what I was playing on stage, and I never seen this guy before. Wow. So I like what he's doing, so I just keep doing my thing. We had a great time. Then after the concert, we were invited to go to the boat.
Wait,
and after
was that Milton?
No, this is before Milton.
Oh, so who was that?
My band Karma, the French guy,
who was the guy dancing?
The African guy.
Okay.
It was his name is Baba.
Okay.
Baba Karsene. Wonderful guy. God, I mean, so many stories. Somebody said that I should write a book, but you know, and it should be out of things that conversations like this, because one thing leads to the other. Anyway, we go up. The French guy invites the band to put together sailing and music.
Oh.
And 3 guys. We had a quintet, so 3 of the band, including myself, we say okay. And so we prepared, we worked on the boat. At the time, I had a little bit of money because I had won the lottery.
I saw that. I was like, what musician actually wins the lottery? That's hysterical. That's mind-blowing all by itself.
Yeah. I mean, it was at the time, it was 1977, I think it was. Or no, earlier than that, 74, 75. And my grandmother was turning 82, and I never bought a lottery ticket before. And in Uruguay, it's different, you know. By the way, I'm from Montevideo, Uruguay. And the lottery system is different. You actually buy printed numbers.
Yeah.
And it was a big prize. It was August 16th, 1974. And so I said, okay, I'm going to buy one. And I was hanging out with friends, and I told them, let's go buy a lottery ticket. And well, one of them say, okay. And we walk around, we found a place where they sold the tickets, and we took 2 tickets. And so whoever wins shares half with the other. And my number won.
How much did you win? Can I ask?
At the time, it was like $200,000 from American dollars, which there was like 8 million pesos or something like that.
You must have died. I mean, I've never talked to anyone who won the lottery. So when you found out, were you like, did you faint or something?
No, I was doing I was repeating a year of pre-college. I was 19 years old.
Oh wow.
And it was winter. August is winter in Uruguay. And I was walking back from the institute that I was taking the chemistry and something else, credits that I needed to fulfill to then go to college. And I walked by a place where they put these blackboards outside, you see, like mom and pop's little stores, corner stores, you know, kiosks, and, you know, newspapers, stands. And I walk by this thing, and I look at the thing, and in number 1, it was my number. It was 04282. And I said, oh, that's my number. And I kept walking. So it didn't hit me for like years. I didn't know what happened. It's like, well, I mean, so I helped my family. My father was a high-ranking Navy officer,
Oh.
and the elite of that environment was always in debt. So my father said, "Well, you should lend money, and then they'll pay you with interest." So I invested that way. That's why the money lasted
Oh,
a
wow.
few years.
Yeah.
And so
Huh.
when the time came for the boat, we needed to prepare, get supplies. I mean, actually, that money allowed me to buy my first bass. It was a Hofner, not the violin bass, but it was a regular, like a jazz bass kind of shape.
Yeah.
And my first amp, and that's what I was using on the concert where I met
Oh, wow.
the French and the African. So anyway, I had the necessary money to be, to be more free. I didn't have to go to school. I didn't have a regular job. So I was just dedicated to music. So I put time into helping with like fixing the boat. This just one story after the other, and buy supplies for the trip, because basically we didn't know where we were going or for how long.
So okay, so the owner of the boat
Mhm.
basically hired you, gave you this vehicle to be on, and then was there a trip, a limited trip? Was it
No,
open-ended?
it was open-ended. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an invitation. In his words was, "Let's marry music and navigation." Those were his. He spoke French, and that's how I learned French.
And how long
So
did this boat marriage last?
about 3.5 years. I mean, yeah, I think it.
Consistently, you guys were on the boat for 3.5 years?
Yeah, pretty much. We went to live on the boat before the trip started, so that took a few months because we had to take the boat out of the water, get
Oh,
it ready, shape it,
right.
clean it.
Yeah.
And on the process, the people that were doing that miscalculated, because the boat was like on top of these 6 pillars,
Yeah.
and they had to have like the right kind of support underneath. So
Yeah.
when the boat went there, the support wasn't there because it wasn't touching the bottom, and 3 of the pillars went through the body of the boat. So the whole thing, instead of taking us 2 weeks, it took like 3 or 4 months, because they had to raise the boat up, match the quality of the wood. That was originally, this was like a regatta kind of sailing boat that has been built in 1938 to go around the world, and it has been around the world 3 times.
Wow.
So anyway, it was a beautiful boat. There's some pictures of it on my website.
Yeah. Well, I have to look here. And I have your website up, and
So I'm going because I want to get back to that concert that we just saw.
oh yeah, okay.
And yeah, so we get to Rio de Janeiro with the boat.
Yeah.
I think in my bio.
Okay. The regular bio, full
No,
bio,
the Florida full bio,
full bio. Okay, let's see.
I think. Yeah, no, that's where I was born. If you scroll, there it is.
Right here. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the photo on the left, the sepia tones, that's when Milton came to the boat. You can see him there on the left side.
Yes.
I'm there sitting on the floor with, I looked like Neptune back then with my beard, and I had hair and all that. The French guy is in the middle, Michel, like behind the girl that is sitting on the floor. Baba, the Senegalese, is in the back, the tallest one, the wonderful black guy in the back.
Yes, yes.
And then you have a picture of the boat next to it that was taken from the top of the mast of another boat that had tied up the 2 boats together in an island in in Brazil called Ilha Grande. It's beautiful.
What an experience. My
Oh
God.
yeah, I call it life.
Incredible. That's really
Oh,
incredible.
so you see me here sitting down and playing a guitar somewhere on the yeah, the guy on the left sitting,
Yeah.
that's me. And
Yeah.
I was 22 back then.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So anyway, we get to Rio de Janeiro on October 12th, 1977.
Yeah.
And I remember because October 12th, you know, is when Columbus Day, right? So
Yes.
we were coming into the Guanabara Bay, and I was on the all of a sudden the wind came and inflated the sails, and the boat like really started sailing. It was an incredible motion. It's like exhilarating. I mean, you're going like, I don't know, 10 miles an hour, but it feels like you're flying.
Yeah.
And back then, I mean, I never saw or heard about Titanic, but I was on the front of the boat going like this, you know, like like saying I'm the king of the world, you know, in the movie Titanic.
Yeah.
That was the feeling.
Oh my God.
So one week later, exactly, October 19th, Milton came to the boat because we had a friend in common, a poet. He's on the picture somewhere too, Chico Rodriguez. He had been in Uruguay when the dictatorship was in Brazil, and when the dictatorship came to Uruguay, he moved to Brazil, and he knew Milton from the musicians' environment.
Yeah.
So he told Milton that there was a group of musicians, Latin American musicians, traveling on a sailing boat, and Milton, always, you know, adventurer, he came to visit. And we played for him, and he loved it. And, you know, the next thing was a week after that was his birthday, October 25th. So he invited us to his house. We hung out, we played for him at his house, and Baba was dancing. We cooked an African meal for him, and it was just him and us. That's it. That was it. And anyway, then he had to come to LA to A&M Records to record his next album that was called Journey to Dawn.
Okay.
And he said, well, I'm gonna have to go to Los Angeles. I don't know if you're gonna be here when I come back. So he wanted to record with us, and so we recorded with him before he traveled. And sure enough, we took off with the boat, and we after that, and we went to a small fisherman village north of Rio called Buzios.
Okay.
It's amazing, beautiful. I mean, one of the most beautiful places I ever seen. It's just the sunsets there is like, really?
Oh, wow.
Seriously, all these colors. I mean, it's like, whoa.
Wow.
But anyway, he comes back, and somehow he finds us. He sends. We got a letter from him in the boat in Buzios. Somehow he found us, and he said, "Oh, please come back. I'm gonna be here and there, and I want to record some more." So we took the bus, went back to Rio, and worked with him. That album ended up being Club da Esquina #2, which is, it's a historical album, you know. And we played on 3 of his tracks. I played bass on 2, and that kind of like opened the doors for me in Brazil, because then, you know, everybody wanted to work with us. And there was a manager that showed up from I don't know where, and he got us to perform in universities, and we did a little tour. You know, we played in different universities. It was really beautiful, and that's how I learned Portuguese.
I can see why. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Wow.
that's how I met Milton, and I told you how I met John.
Yeah.
And so when I'm here, Milton was coming back from a tour, I think from Japan, and every time he was here, he would call me, and we hung out for the few days he was here. You know, he would he would love. He would take me to Universal Studios. he liked to go on the rides, you know.
Oh my
So it was like a dedicated day for that, and I had to be there. It was beautiful. So
Oh,
and I was just working with John on an album called Deseo that came out on Windham Hill, I think.
yeah.
And I said, look, Milton is gonna be in town, and John was like, oh yes, I want people to write backing tracks for me to sing. And it's like, you're way off, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, I managed a trip to take Milton to Big Bear, and where John was staying, so they could meet and know each other. So we get there, and it was just Milton, me, John, and his assistant at the time, Gary Barlow. And I say, Gary, John says, oh yes, Milton, yeah, nice. Thanks for coming. I really want to have some backing tracks for me to sing. These British people.
Really? That's funny.
So I had a cassette tape of a song, a few songs of Milton, but the first one was one called The Call.
Okay.
The Call, which he sings but no lyrics. It's I think it's the first song on side B of the album he did here for A&M. How was it called? Milton. There's a picture of him with he was in the beach and there's water coming down.
Yeah.
He did it at Shangri-La Studios in Malibu. So anyway, Gary puts the tape on the cassette player, and the first note started, and John went like this in a trance, like in a yoga position of meditation.
Yeah.
And he was there like almost not even breathing, and he, at the end of the song, he opened his eyes back, and he looks at Milton. He crawls across the room, grabs Milton's legs, and he says, Milton, can I please sing with you? And to me that was like the real John Anderson. You see, to me that's okay. That's where I want to see you. That's who you really are. Not me. So anyway, that's how they met, and the possibility that was, I don't know, early 90s, and so the possibility of including Milton and other people from Latin America in the SEO became more real. And Milton was going to be recording an album in New York called Angelus. And so John and I went to New York. We had a studio to work on the overdubs we wanted to do. And Milton was doing his recordings in these fancy studios. I forget, Factory something.
Knitting. I don't know if it was the Knitting Factory but that had a studio. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's where we ended up. John sang on Milton's album, and Milton sang on our album. And there was one little verse on that song, Amor Real, which means real love.
Yeah.
That I didn't have the lyrics. I have written the lyrics in Spanish. And then there was one of the poets that Milton worked the most, Fernando Brandt, was there. And I look at Fernando and I said, maybe it should be in Portuguese. And he said, oh, okay. And then he went, and right there on the studio, it was ready. Milton sang it, and that's what that is.
Wow.
And out of that experience, or that collaboration, that was summer of 93. And then winter of 93, Milton was organizing the event, Natal Sinfome, and he invited us. And they sent us first class tickets for like Freddie, the guitarist, John and me. And we were part of that most amazing experience, it was beautiful.
Wow.
And they stay friends since then. the mutual admiration.
That's really hugely special. Yeah.
So that's a big story for
It is. It's
to
interesting.
explain. Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of those, you know, stories that it takes a while to get it to come around. It's like a
Well,
process.
it has to be in the right context,
Yeah.
because then you understand where all these vectors came to be to
Yeah.
form that thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I love how life, you know, life presents itself. You have to be present in the moment and you have to be aware and be able to move, and that
Well,
oftentimes happens.
is endangered species to the nowadays. I mean, I was just looking at the news, and then you take a step back and you observe the situation of the world, and it's not nice what's happening.
No,
It's not. I mean, the corporations are tripling their profit, and we have an inflation. Something is wrong.
I know. I saw that today.
Yeah,
In a year, inflation went up 9%.
you're
9.
right. But oil companies in
Yeah.
6 months of this year, they have 350% increase in profit from the whole last year. If inflation was real, they wouldn't have a increase on profit margin.
And they're trying to sell us on the fact that gas prices are going up because of Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really crazy shit.
Yeah. No. Anyways, we could talk a lot about it, but it's usually. I'll tell you. Can I tell you a little story?
Sure.
I think you would appreciate it. There was once upon a time in a faraway so close kingdom. There was a king that was very arrogant, and he would like to play games with his the people of his kingdoms, the inhabitants of his kingdom. So he would usually create these riddles and challenges to the people that he knew that people could not solve, but people would respect him because he was the king, right? But it was almost impossible to solve anything because he already knew things didn't have a resolution. But one day he comes down to the village and I'm gonna fool these people again, So he gathers the people, and then when everybody was there around him, he bends down to the floor and he draws a line on the floor, about a foot long, right? And then he says, well, whoever can make this line shorter without touching it, I'll give you half of my kingdom. There was the challenge. So obviously, I mean, you may think about how are you going to do that? So people were talking about, well, and then this other guy was walking by. He was not part of the whole scene. He was an outsider, and he comes in and he says, what's happening? Because there was a lot of commotion, and they explained to him, and then, okay, let me look. So he looked at the line on the floor and goes down, and next to the line that the king drew, he drew a 2-foot long line. So the line that the king drew became very short, much shorter, you see, and he didn't touch it. So the analogy is the line that the king is drawing on the floor is the rhetoric that is going on right now, the nonsense, and the like fooling people, this is like we live in a society that the one who cheats the most gets the money.
Yeah.
It's not about democracy or socialism or anything. That doesn't exist. And it hasn't existed for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, the word democracy comes from the Greek, right? And demo that means people, and krasi means grace, the grace of the people. Now you tell me if that's what's happening right now. No. But anyway, that's the short line of the king is all that is what we're being fed constantly. The long line is the one that we have to draw. We have to assume responsibility for our own peace and fulfillment, and the satisfaction of being alive, which if we can find peace in our hearts, then that creates a space, and from that space you realize that you have options, and then you can choose. But from a conscious point of view, not from like asleep at the wheel. And the utmost results, beautiful feeling from that process is what you have written in the back of it says gratitude. The feeling of gratitude is the crown of all the divine feelings that a person can experience. But it has to come from inside, not from like, oh yes, thank you very much. It's not about good manners. It's different.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. In fact, yesterday I spoke with the most amazing young woman. You would have, you can go on and see her, on my Facebook or YouTube, but her name is Yumi Ito, and she lives in Switzerland. She's young, and she is half Japanese and half uh, Polish. But her parents were both classical musicians, so she grew up in that frame of mind. And also, the Japanese part of the family was actually very kind of outspoken, which is interesting because I've been to Japan a lot and I know the Japanese culture, and that's really interesting. But the artists do tend to be, you know, the coolest people, the artists and the farmers. They're the coolest people in Japan. But
Yeah.
anyway, beautiful, beautiful ideas, beautiful responsibility. Her creations are absolutely amazing. And we were talking about how, now we're connected, right? And now our universes are connected. And so that, like you say, it creates a space and a vibration and a flow out into everything we each know and we each are connected with. And really we really are balancing the planet out. And I don't think the planet would even be here if it wasn't for artists. I really don't think so. I think it would be a dead.
Well, the arts, the existence of arts is the only testimony to the real humanity that we are.
Yeah.
If you think about, I usually a friend of mine, amazing musician, he was killed in Florida on a house invasion. It was awful.
Yeah.
His name was Terry Plumeri. He was a bass player, upright bass, and he also conducted the Moscow Philharmonic for a lot of his movies and his own albums too. He recorded different versions of Tchaikovsky music and his own compositions. And he always used to say, well, during the time of Mozart in Vienna, they had the mayor, they had the minister of this and the blah 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 of that, and there was a king there too. So who were these people? Nobody knows. They were there, but Mozart, right?
Right.
So I mean, that's the importance of music to me. That's because music and the arts in general come from a source. I mean, we're not actually, we are the vessel for the arts. We're not the creators of the arts.
Right.
Something comes through us.
Yeah.
And a song is there, or a statue, or a painting, or a poem, or a dance. I mean, any form of expression that is real art. So there is that connection. So it's kind of like I'm honored to be part of that process, but I don't claim the credit to be the one. You know what I mean? It's like there is something that is coming through me that makes these things, and I'm part of it. Yes, and because of that direct connection with the source, that's what feels good. Basically, that's what it's all about. It feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. That's why you
Yeah,
keep doing it. It's like
yeah.
keep doing it and it feels good.
I mean, I don't know about you, but when I do get into composing or arranging or creating something musically, I just go into what in America they call the zone, and then I know when I finish the piece, I kind of like I'm conscious, I'm aware of that, and then I had to stop listening to it for a while, and then I come back and it's like I have no idea how that happened.
Yeah.
You know, I had to like relearn the whole thing. I had to like write it back down so I can play it.
Yeah.
It's like,
And revisit that space. Yeah.
the feeling, yes, exactly. The feeling is, but to me, that's the most important because I don't think Mozart played the same piece the same way twice.
Yeah, I doubt it.
These guys, Mozart, Bach, all of them, they were improvisers.
Yeah.
Chopin, come on, impromptu. That's translated to nowadays the jamming. It's just that he remembered everything and wrote it with a feather and ink. You know what I mean? It's like he remembered every note.
So, so, uh, what exactly brought you to LA?
Well, that's a good story. After leaving the boat, I ended up staying in Brazil for a couple more years. And then I was called to join a band of a Uruguayan artist that was coming back from the Netherlands to live. And he wanted to put together a band of, wow, I think it's called repatriados in Spanish, the repatriated. I don't know if that
Oh,
exists.
yeah, yeah.
But people that were musicians that were out because of the dictatorship or whatever. And so he brought people. He brought Jorge Trasante, that was the drummer of the Gypsy Kings for the whole time of their fame.
Yeah.
And he called me to come from Brazil to be the bass player. And then he brought in two brothers, Hugo Fatoruso, piano player. He used to live here. He played with a lot of jazz people, and he played with Milton and everybody in Brazil, John Bosco, Chico Buarque, all of them.
Yeah.
And then his brother, Osvaldo Fatoruso, George, they were part of a group called OPA.
Hmm. That the group that Eliana was with?
No, but that's Oba.
Oh, okay. Oh, this was Opa. Okay.
OPA. OPA is kind of like a slang expression. It's like in Uruguay, you say Opa, but it's like, hey, what's up? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's slang.
Okay.
Or if you're surprised, you say Opa. That's another of doing. So he brought us, and we 1981, and I ended up staying there. We played for a full stadium. 1981. It was intense. It was different. It was great. And then I formed a trio with Hugo and Osvaldo, and we started doing a lot of sessions. And we did a couple of albums together. One was called Barcarola, and another one was with Maria de Fatima on vocals, called Bahia with an H.
Yeah.
Bahia with an H was just re-released in Germany, and it sounds really good. I downloaded it and was listening to it.
Wow. That's
So it's like, wow. 1981. Amazing. So we ended up working together in many different albums. And then I just had received something called Knowledge of the Self, which is basically for meditation techniques that what they do is they invert the senses. And so instead of looking out, which is what we're used to, we're stimulated to the light that comes from outside, the sounds that come from outside, the touch, the tastes. And these techniques invert that power of appreciation from the senses, and it's like turning the lens of the camera inside, and the result of that is peace, and just peace is a beautiful feeling, and that's kind of like understanding that that's the real me. So this man that gave me that those techniques, his name is Prem Rawat, and he was doing an event in Florida in 1982 summer, and because of the dictatorship, the American embassy wasn't giving any visas, but we gathered people from Argentina, Chile, Uruguay, Paraguay, and south of Brazil, and we chartered a plane. So that gave us access to have 3 weeks of visa to come to the States. So, and it was, the occasion was, it was called Festival of Light, I think. And it happened at the Orange, the football stadium, the Orange something. It was the Dolphins stadium.
I don't know.
Orange Bowl.
Orange Bowl. Okay.
Yeah, it's not the same name anymore. But anyway,
okay.
The thing is, like, we managed to get the visas. I came with a group of people. I had a girlfriend at the time. We came together, and I didn't really like Miami that much. The event was beautiful, but somebody had put me in touch with Freddie that was already here in Los Angeles. And while in Miami, I got an extension of 3 months for the visa. So with the enough money that I had was for me and my girlfriend to take a Greyhound from Miami to Los Angeles.
Oh boy.
Man, I tell you. Yeah, that brings a lot of other stories. But anyway, we made it. We made it to Los Angeles, and there was Freddie waiting for me and my girlfriend in the bus stop, and it was a McDonald's in Hollywood and Vine. I think it's still there. Anyway, so Freddie convinced me to come over here. He said, I don't know if he remembers this, but I do, because it kind of like caught my attention. He said, "Oh, we don't have people like you here. You should come." I didn't know what that meant, so I came just to try to find that out. So this, to start, I had the Greyhound ticket, and for me and my girlfriend, and $150. That was it. That was the end of the lottery money.
That's funny. So you came, and then so you had to get back here, though, or you had to go. Did you go? You had to go back and then come back?
No, I'll tell you.
Oh,
wait, there is more.
Wow, this is okay. More deep. The story. Yeah.
The 3 months were expiring, and I was already working with Moacir Santos, and working, playing for his band, and getting to know people, and this was 1982, and the visa was expiring, so I went downtown to try to get another extension. I said, "Well, you can only get 1 more month, and then you had to leave and apply for another visa." And I went, I requested, I did the paperwork, and then I had to go to pick up my passport again with the stamp. I still had that passport because it was November of 1982. Yeah. So I would have another month till December of 1982. But when I went to pick up my passport, the officer, I don't remember where that was. It was in downtown. But the guy opened the passport, and I said, "So here it is, goodbye, have a nice day." And I look at the passport, and he put 1983 instead of 1982. So he gave me 13 months instead of 1.
Interesting.
Isn't that something? So I look at him and I said, thank you, Merry Christmas. Just pick up my passport and left. And and then during that year, in between 1982 and 1983, I met a lady. We became very close. She invited me to go to Portland. She was from there, and we got married.
Oh,
And then I got my what people call the green card.
yeah.
And when I got the green card, I applied for grants to come to study at the Musicians Institute.
Oh,
And then my ex-wife and her son, we moved all to Los Angeles for that year. You know, it was 1986, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I lived in Oregon for like 3 years.
wow.
So
I'm sure we saw each other, and I heard you, and I used to listen to Mosir all the time. Did you ever play at the Comeback Inn?
yeah,
I was there. I almost sang with him, but I don't know what happened, you know, whatever. But and then Musicians Institute, especially during that time, I was teaching there.
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, oh, amazing. Well, anyway, that's that lady passed away.
Oh,
Was married to, and I since then I married one more time, and then I'm happily divorced by now. Nothing personal.
Wow. Okay. So, man, let's talk about Mosir a little bit. Wait, actually,
Sure,
let's listen to some music. You
sure.
sent me something, and uh, that would be nice to listen to because you sent it. Babino, tell us about that.
Yes, that's it hasn't been released yet. As you know, I run a foundation called the Occult Peace Foundation.
And we have to get into that too.
Yeah, so the foundation is formed by musicians, and this we produce enough recordings for 2 EPs or 1 long LP.
Okay.
So this song is part of it. We have Sonia Kasarova, which is the opera singer, Federico Ramos, the guitar player, Ron Wagner, Scarlett Rivera, and myself. And this is one of the songs we produced for this.
And is this a standard song, or is this?
It's an opera aria called O mio babbino caro.
This is the aria? Oh,
Yeah, I did a kind of like a African groove arrangement to it.
oh,
It's a
okay.
different version.
Okay, good. Okay, so
It starts with a bow bass, the electric bass being bowed. It sounds like voices, but it's not. It's just this bass.
okay. Oh, beautiful.
I forgot that there is a DJ Bird. He's a DJ, wonderful guy. He's part of the Voice in Germany, but he lives half of the time there and half the time here. And he joined us for this some of the concerts on this recording. He was part of the string theory as well.
Oh.
Yeah, nice,
So
very nice guy.
what does he do?
DJ is with
So
the
was that in this piece?
the
Oh,
those sounds, yeah, those synthetic sounds. That was him.
yeah. Oh, wow, that's
Yeah, have you ever heard an opera like that?
it was really beautiful. Very
Yeah,
beautiful. It's a
I
beautiful
agree.
singer. And yeah. So this leads me to talk about your organization, and I want to show people the screen for it. And I mean, this is, I'm sure you could talk a long time about this too.
Oh yeah,
So all of this stuff is all about this, right?
yes,
All of
yeah.
this. So
Even that blimp.
let's start at the beginning of this, because
Okay.
so this has been in existence for a while, right?
Well, I started the idea of a call to peace came to me in 2002.
Okay.
Kind of like create. I was watching a video of a speech and the person said that peace is the responsibility of the individual, right? And that resonated with me. And then at the end of his speech, he said, "What can you do?" Then I understood that I had to assume that responsibility, and what I can do is music. So I decided to create um, platforms of artistic expression to bring forth the simple message of peace being the responsibility of the individual,
Yeah.
And have the spaces where we perform. They were offered to organizations to put their booth in there to give information. People like Oxfam International, Oxfam Handicap International, UNICEF. That happened like in concerts in France, for example, in a big arena. There, I gave the idea that they should have like a farmers market of non-profits.
Cool.
So people would come to the concert and they could walk around, and so we had nothing to do with the money. If they were giving donations or whatever, no interference. We just provided the platform and music to go with it.
Yeah.
So that concept was born in 2002. The first 3 concerts we did were in Japan, in Tokyo. It's beautiful. You say that, you've been to Japan so many times. I was there once for about 9 days and I loved it.
Yeah.
I totally loved it. And I want to go back.
Me too.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for the pandemic to quiet
Yeah.
off. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we did south of Strasbourg. There's a community called Mutzig, and they had an arena for 10,000 people. It was beautiful. And then we came from France and we did Pepperdine University.
Yeah.
And then the next year, I did mostly solo presentations in Copenhagen and Geneva. And then I took the group to Uruguay, and we did 3 concerts there. At the time, it was kind of like multimedia events. It was called the Call to Peace Multimedia Events. And I had created short videos from quotes from poets and masters from different times in human history.
Nice.
that were pointing into the same direction,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So just to remember that this is nothing new, but it's still fresh and beautiful.
Yeah.
And in 2019, I got together with Sonia, the opera singer, and Scarlett Rivera, the violin player, and I proposed to make it a non-profit, a 501c3. And so we applied. It took about a year, and we got the letter from IRS recognizing our legal status of non-profit 501c3 in February of 2020, but it was retroactive. So that means, the foundation in reality started when we applied for the corporation thing. And then you had to apply for the non-tax exempt after. Anyway, so in 2019, we did several concerts in different places, and we supported many different organizations, like our Armory of Harmony, which is a organization. I think it was created by Richard Gibbs. He's a film composer, and Greg Fillinganes is part of it too, and other people. I don't know the whole menu, but they what they do is that they collect guns that have been repossessed by the police, or people give them back because they don't want them. So they take those guns, they melt the metal, which is usually carbon steel or something like that. And with that, there are different companies that make instruments that they create, like mouthpieces for trumpets, kalimba things, parts of guitar, parts of manly, preamps and things like that. So what once was a machine to kill people, right now is a machine to help with the expression of whatever they want to express.
What people will come up with, that's unbelievable. That's great. Yeah.
So that was one of them. I made these cards. I don't know if I gave you one, right?
Yes, I saw that.
So first of all, I think this makes it simple for me. This is a little bit of our mission statement. The concert series uses each event to partner with charitable organizations with particular focus on the protection of nature, human rights, and standing celebration of cultural differences. Right? That's a mission statement. We do more than that. And so here's a list of the organizations we have already helped, and some of them we're still helping. Armory of Harmony, Center for Reflective Parenting, Committee for Racial Justice, Echo Valley Hope, Handicap. Echo Valley Hope is a sustainable living farm in Wisconsin. It's amazing. I play there. Handicap International, Jack Water Life, Water, Air, and Food Awards, Kids City Hope Place, this is downtown LA, Ocean Charter Schools here in the West Side, Oxfam International, I Believe, which is an organization in Malibu that create videos to expose the work of people that are dedicated to the arts in the community. Students for Students is an organization in local that provides housing for students that get into college, but they don't have any money to pay for rent. So they're homeless students. Can you believe that?
No.
So this organization, Students for Students, help with that. The Prem Rawat Foundation, which they are doing incredible work. UNICEF, Climate Music Project, which is something that I need to expand on. Food Cycle LA, which is the organization that we partner to exercise our food recovery program. Philokalia Institute is a art school in Lebanon that I met through part of my family. My father's side of the family comes from Lebanon, and not too long ago I discovered that branch, and I got in touch, and it's a family that has a lineage of musicians and composers and troubadours, and it could be traced all the way back to 1640, which is, to me, it was kind of like, oh, I finally know why I'm a musician. It's in the genes. I didn't know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So there is a nun, Sister Marana, that runs, she created this Philokalia Institute. Philokalia means love for the beauty of human expression.
Wow.
Speaking of awareness.
Heavy.
And she created this school, and they teach kids that have no resources to pay for, education in the arts, culinary arts, painting, music. And they have an incredible choir of like 80 kids. I had a conference call like this, a Zoom with probably 10 or 12 of them. It was so Ah,
Did you
it's like,
say,
oh my,
you said this is in Lebanon?
Lebanon, yeah.
Wow.
And so sister, because Lebanon is the majority of people in Lebanon are Christian.
Yeah.
They have an old branch of the church that is called Maronite. And that's where my great grandfather was the caretaker for a monastery called Balamand that was built between the Crusades
Wow.
in the coast of the north side of Lebanon, on top of a city called Tripoli.
Oh.
Not the Tripoli of Libya,
Yeah.
Tripoli in the Mediterranean there.
Uh-huh.
And anyway, so my cousins, distant cousins, they are amazing. They're beautiful people. They sing beautifully. They are actors. They are biochemical engineers. I mean, these people are like,
Wow.
and one of these guys, Ziad, is a wonderful kid. He introduced me to the sister, and we started to connect like that. So I'm writing a piece for them to sing that is about the union of the whole country, because they are a little bit divided, and but I think it applies to everybody.
Wow. That's
And yeah,
gorgeous.
yeah. So then continuing with the list: Malibu High School Arts Department,
Yeah.
Youth Justice Coalition, Hope and Heart is an institution in South Central, downtown, and East LA that takes care of. It's a shelter for women and kids and children that have been abused or victims of trafficking, and it has the support of Mayor Garcetti. I mean, I don't know who's the mayor anymore, but I did work directly with them. They're amazing. And St. George Hospital University Medical Center in Beirut is a hospital that my cousin Siad studied at and got destroyed by that explosion on the harbor in Lebanon and Beirut.
Yeah.
Remember a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
California Interfaith Power and Light, which is an organization that brings together many different denominations from different religions, and they work together for a common goal. In this case, is climate change. And then there were benefits for the church in Ocean Park, is in Santa Monica. And there is something that I forgot, that it was a church in Santa Paula too, which is it's a Universalist Unitarian church. We did concerts there. I had to add it to the list.
So, this list is people that you've worked with,
Yeah,
and some you continue to work with?
yeah. Well, Food Cycle LA and the Coast Peace Foundation had joined forces, and we take care of something that is called the Food Recovery Program,
Uh-huh.
which the way it works is we have a fleet of volunteers that go to places like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or bakeries, gluten-free bakeries, or the Le Pain Quotidien and Marina del Rey, Sprouts, Bristol Farms, all those people that focus more on healthy stuff. And at the end of the shelf life, we pick up the stuff that otherwise they were going to throw it away. And it would go to the landfill, and it would create a lot of methane gas. It's crazy. What is crazy is that 50% of the food that is produced in the world is thrown away or burnt. How can you explain that there is hunger in the world?
That's nuts. I mean, that's
That's greed. That's
yeah,
stupid.
that's
Stupid.
greed and no sight. No, somebody's like not there to like look ahead. Well, obviously these organizations are being created that
Yeah.
have people who are looking ahead and looking at it. But yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah.
So we have, since the beginning of the pandemic, we started working together with Food Cycle LA, and we have distributed over 360,000 pounds of food to
Wow.
people in need, mainly like single moms, artists, families, shelters, um, food banks. And lately, we're also doing it for Ukrainian refugees. They're
In LA, right?
yeah, in LA. They relocated here, and kind of like they're like in the air. They can come in, but they don't receive the social security for a long time. They cannot apply for like to have a rental. If they have degrees in Ukraine, which usually people are very well prepared in Eastern Europe, like doctors and things like that, then they had to like go through a whole process to not only learn English but get approved by the health department to exercise their what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's that's that extent. Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to share the screen again and look at this website. So this is
if you scroll down, I think there is information on there.
Okay.
There you have, this is an explanation what we do. That's on the bottom there. That in the middle of between me and Sonia is Sekou Andrews, who was the spoken word artist that did the album with the string theory, and for which we got a Grammy nomination and 2 independent music awards. So then from left to right, you have Freddie Ramos, Carl Rivera, Ron Wagner, Sonia, and myself.
I don't know I don't know exactly what, but I told you the other day, I would be a singer, but I would like to get involved somehow. And I don't know how, and I don't know.
Well,
how, but it sounds like, I mean, what's there not to want to get involved about?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do need help. I mean, it's a lot of work, believe me. Once you get into this realm, it's just a lot of stuff. This is about an ongoing thing is to raise money for the high school in Malibu. They were invited to go to play at Carnegie Hall next year, and believe it or not everybody in Malibu is rich. So we're trying to raise money for those kids that don't have it, so they can go. It's gonna be like a field trip of about like 50 or 55 people when you include teachers and staff. So so people can donate there.
The big orchestra too.
Yeah. We did a concert, fundraiser concert. There's some pictures down there at the City Hall in Malibu, and so those are pictures of that afternoon. And we had 35 kids playing strings, but the whole orchestra is 45, but they couldn't fit everybody. So the teacher said, let's just bring 35.
This is this is at where I just
played.
Yeah.
Are you there already? I had to keep working with the web.
I don't know, but a lot of my friends are here.
No,
so that's okay.
Not yet. You will be.
Yeah, there's a lot of great people here. Yeah, I'm having Sunny Paxson on the show soon.
Oh, cool. Yeah, she's great.
Julie is an old dear friend of mine. So she's finally said she would be on the show.
Oh, great. That's cool.
But anyway, a lot of people here. So this is for those of you who did not come, but a lot of you came, which was very nice. Beautiful, beautiful space and restaurant, La Puglia in Santa Monica. And the food's delicious and looks beautiful. And the space is really nice. And Eduardo was a great host. And this is kind of currently what's going on.
Yes.
Now, is it all when you come together with organizations, are they all about the reach for peace and for
No, well, in a way, yes, but it's like, with Food Cycle LA, it's about
feeding
making food available for people that cannot afford paying rent, and in a way that brings peace, but it's not the peace that we're talking about in the beginning.
Yes.
These pictures is like the first time we distributed to Ukrainian families. I took it was in the entrance to the house of a Russian lady that donated the place to make that happen. You know, so people came with like babies and young couples, like young widows. And this is the place on the bottom there. You have pictures of when we pick up the food. The second picture is the back of my SUV. And the third one is a garage in a condominium where we used to do the distribution. Now that method has changed. Then the fourth one is the back of the truck that the food cycle relay has. You can see a little bit better picture on the right. And then the last picture is I went to pick up food donated by the government and Santa Monica College once, and all those boxes went to the Hope and Heart.
You know, Chris
And then there's
the drummer who played with me,
yes,
he works at a church in Eagle Rock, and there's a every 2-week music event there, and the pastor gives away a lot of food.
oh,
Yeah, that's his thing too. Gives
that's
away
good.
a lot of food. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the first video. Here is an article that came out on ABC7 Eyewitness News
Oh, cool.
about it was more focused on food cycle,
Yeah.
but you know that's exactly what we're doing with them. And the second one was a video that the cable company has a news program, and the lady came to film and to interview us and film some of the rehearsal for one of the concerts at the Scarlett's house in Topanga at the time. It's a nice article. And anyway, so there's a lot there to go through.
Yep. And then all the history you can read about, and
Yeah,
then the artists, about the artists,
yeah,
right?
that's the core ensemble, and that's the audio there is of a poet, and he was born in South Africa, I think, but he's from Indian uh, um, ancestry.
Yes.
There it is on the fourth picture on the top from left to right. That's Atul. That's him. Yeah, Atul Ranshot. Wonderful guy. So he was gonna come to record the poem at the studio. We had a studio in Venice at the time.
Yes.
And he called me and said, I can't come because I don't remember what the issue was, but he couldn't come. And I said, okay, now, I told that poem that you told me the other day, just call me. I'll put my phone on speaker, and then I'll record you with the phone voice. And that's what that is. And then I put music to it.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And it's a beautiful poem, And this guy, I mean, he's just a fountain of creation. He can't stop. It's like I think his hand started to hurt from writing so many poems. And then he started painting, watercolors and things like that. He's just amazing.
There's a number of great spoken word people here. I thought this girl might have been it, but she wasn't. But at an event that I did, this beautiful young Black woman was so eloquent. Also, the world stage has some great poets who go there. It's really amazing. And yeah, we're lucky to have that, because that's it's wonderful. So here's updates and contacts. Anyway.
Yeah, I just basically don't have time to put a blog together now. It's just too much. It's like I need like 6 more hours a day.
I'm no kidding, man.
Yeah, maybe 8. Like a 32-hour day or something.
I know. It's just, I mean, people ask me how I do stuff, but it looks like you're way more over, have a lot more things than I do.
And don't you feel like there is always more to do? I mean, it's like
totally.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I want to get involved. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful things going on. I have great ideas. I had an organization that I created with my friend Mon David several years ago, Human Connection. And we kind of started, but both of us were just kind of got dispersed, but still, I thought that was a real it was a really great kind of concept for
Uh-huh.
reaching out, human
Yeah,
connect,
yeah.
had, and I even have like up here somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. I have something. Here's a human connection thing, but
Oh yeah.
and I had these little things printed up. Have you had your human connection today?
Oh yeah.
Wonderful. I mean, come on, oh, it's the whole thing. Let's just, but what I really love is, and I would like to even work on it more and more, is the idea of equality. And
Mm.
even, okay, so I'm going to admit something online here. So when I see uh, things in public about um, bringing attention to like women or men or different groups, I, it's not that I'm not into it, but what I'm really into is human equality.
There you go.
I want everybody. I don't want just one, although I do understand you have to pay attention sometimes to one group because they're
Yeah,
suffering, but
of course.
I want human equality. And that's really what I would really like to work towards in some kind of an organizational way.
Yeah. Well, one thing that yes, I totally agree with you. Humanity is the focus, and by the way, the word focus, I just learned that yesterday. It comes from Latin and it's referring to, the fireplace in a home. The focus
Yeah.
is like from like flames focus. You know,
Oh,
it's like when you find that, when you go home and you find that beautiful place, and you get uh, you feel that the warmth of home.
yeah. Oh,
That's where the word focus comes from. I didn't know,
that
and, and
interesting.
now and now I like it more.
I love that word. I use it a
Yeah.
lot in teaching because I think that focus is the way in to that beautiful universe, right?
Well, there you go. I mean, like when you did the concert in La Puglia, I in the beginning, I emphasized that this is not entertainment. This
Yeah.
is artistic expression, and the difference is entertainment is to distract you, and art is to focus you. And when that happens, you feel at home, and immediately there is an awareness of your true self, and the result of that, it's how can I say I lose the words because I think in 5 different languages. But anyway, yeah, there is the one of the first consequences of focus is common sense.
Interesting.
Another endangered species. And then because of common sense, then you start to exercise critical thinking, and that's something that the whoever is causing all this madness, they don't like that,
No.
because then it's like the emperor has no clothes.
Yes. My friend said, she said, right now is actually a time that a lot of light is being created.
Oh yeah.
And the people in the dark are being seen better and they're freaking out. And that's why they're so busy trying to create distraction.
I just it feels to me that they don't really care anymore about being obvious.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah,
It's like, all right, so we kill, we take over a country, and okay, give me another cookie. Just keep talking about something else. It's like completely numb.
yeah.
And in the middle of a conversation, it's like, okay, let me know, look if I have any messages. It's like, ah. So yes, focus on that simplicity of humanity, which, by the way, existed in us before we were baptized and had a name. We already had that identity.
Yeah,
But then the name is like, okay,
yeah,
Fido, yes.
yes. I
But
was reading,
so
let's see, what was I reading? Are you familiar with the book, The Four Agreements?
I heard about it. Yeah.
It was a book.
Somebody.
It came out a long time ago, like maybe
Yeah, yeah.
20 years ago. It was written by an American Indian, and small book, but very full. And his tribe uh, lived by these four agreements, very easy agreements, but the depth of them, like one is be true to your word, one is don't assume, uh, one is don't take anything personally,
Oh,
and then the last one is let's see, the last one is do your best. But then there's all this depth to each one, and let's see, let me think about this for a second because it was relating to what you just said. I think it was though the name. It was so interesting how he put it. Um, he put it that we're domesticated. That's what he.
yeah. They also call this society the parrot society because they realize, they notice that, you know, somebody says, oh, fake news, and everybody goes, oh, fake news, fake news. And it's like, please.
Right.
Wake up.
Yeah. This idea of domestication, like from when we're young,
Yeah.
this is the right way, this is the wrong way, this is, this is what you're supposed to be doing. And
Yeah.
yeah. And yeah, but
Well,
that's,
so Socrates said it many years ago, know thyself.
yes, correct. Right.
It's not about what you do. It's
Right.
about knowing who you really are.
Yeah.
And then when you do, you're going to like it.
Yeah.
Our nature is amazing. I
But
mean, we're so capable of so many beautiful things, more than the awful things that happen.
yes, but the thing is that well, okay. Many years ago, I finally decided you need two things to move through life well. You need to be able to look at anything, confront anything, and you need to be able to take responsibility for everything. So if you get those two things, you don't have problems. I mean, problems will come up, but once you do that with any problem, it disappears. So, but it's it's under our conscious level. Even people like us who talk about it and think about it all the time, still every day, right, I'm realizing something that I overlooked, or that it's underneath, it's subtle. It's like, oh yeah, so I just saw that and I hadn't really fully realized it. And that's people like us who are already thinking like that. And so it's definitely challenging. And I feel like your organization and our music and, art in general actually are the not the easy way for people to look, but it's pleasant.
It's a wonderful reference point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, because it's good. Everybody is like us, but not everybody knows it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
See, I mean, it's like, to me, I used to teach music, and I call my school of music. I used to go to their houses and meet these amazing people, and the name I gave my music school, the Awesome Blossom School of Music, because there was a moment where the kid that was in front of me would realize, because my focus, again, there's the word, was to guide them through realize that they have their own voice.
Yes.
Either singing or through playing guitar or bass or whatever they wanted to do. And one of the samples of that is the work that I did with Gabriel Luke, which is one of my former students. We did an album together called Orchid. So if you have time, sometimes my cousins from Lebanon are singing on the first track. And
really?
Yeah, it's amazing.
That'll be fun. Okay, yeah.
So being a witness of that moment and when the student realizes, like, I did that, and it's like, yes, you did. That's what we've been working for. And that was the Awesome Blossom, it's like the manifestation of that beauty of human expression, like they say in Lebanon, right?
Yes.
same thing. And I know we all have that because it's included in the package when we are born. We're born with it.
Yeah. It's included in the package, okay?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that friend of mine was driving, and the car in front of him took a turn and kind of like cut off my friend, right? And it's like he came out of the window and said, "Use your turning lights. You pay for them." So in a way, it's like, hey, use your awareness, use that peace that came with you on out of your mom's womb.
Yeah.
It's yours. You have it. It's yours. And if you don't feel good, it's because you're missing it.
Yep.
If you were touching that thing, you wouldn't feel bad. There's no reason. Do you know that you were talking about dark and light, right?
Yes.
Do you know that light doesn't know darkness?
In what way?
You look at the sun.
Yep.
It's shining in all directions. The sun doesn't see shadows. It only sees reflections of its own light. And the dark side of the moon never sees the sun, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the thing is the choice of you're either looking at your shadow, which kind of like has the same perimeter of who you are and this and that, or you're looking at the light and you can see yourself fully. That's the choice.
And the word choice is important.
Yes.
You have a choice.
Yes, you do.
People who
You
don't
do.
think they have a choice
And that's
looking at the
why
dark.
that's why a call to peace is that call that I had to call myself. It's not, I'm not trying to preach here. It's I know that I'm not here to teach. I'm a student, and
Yeah.
I really enjoy doing my homework. I really like them. But the call to peace means I call to that peace in me, in my own heart. I need to feel that every day. I need to. I mean, I can be without it, but I know I don't enjoy it. The day becomes really heavy. Everything is like,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can choose peace, joy, gratitude. I can choose.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I don't get mad and I don't, put my head out of the window of the car and say, "You idiot." I do. Because I can't believe what people do when they're driving. It's just too much.
You know what works, Eduardo?
What?
This is a very interesting
A tank.
no, actually, it's I'm sure you'll understand this, but admire the person, and you don't have to like resist what they're doing. You don't have to do it yourself, but you say something like, "Wow, you are so good at doing that messed up thing." That I really, like, and have a lot of true admiration. And you know what happens? The person actually kind of joins your your wavelength and calms down, and then you don't get pissed either. It's really, I mean, I don't remember to do it all the time, but it's a really very good tool.
Yeah. No, definitely. If you can, if you are able to do that thing of don't take it personally, like you were saying,
Yeah.
it's a good thing because then you don't suffer, and because when you get angry, the first person that is affected by anger is you.
Yeah.
You're feeling it. The other
Yeah.
person could care less
Yeah.
or shoot you. You know how that goes,
Either one.
particularly these days.
So I was looking for Orchid under your, like under YouTube. Would it be on YouTube? Because I didn't
It could
find
be. It could be Eduardo Del Signore. You may find it, or
yeah.
I know it's on Spotify and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, let's see if I can.
Yeah. And this song originally was a jam session that I did with John Anderson. We did like, that's it. Yeah, Not to the Past. That's Se means I know, and is to emphasizing the difference between believing and knowing. There is orchid, but there is only one. I'll go to one. Yeah.
This one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's good. It's a long piece. It's a
Yeah,
long.
it's kind of it reminds me of my group Fish to Birds, which is we are seven, six, seven, eight singers who have been together about 8 years, and we improvise totally. And we are Fish to Birds because we kind of morph. There's a artist who does drawings, famous artist, I can't remember his name, but like at the bottom it's fish, and then and then it becomes birds up above. So this is similar. It's like there is space, there's relationships, and it kind of morphs, right?
Yeah,
Into it's really
yeah,
nice.
yeah. I mean, I'm just listening to my cousins. There are two of them singing
Oh, that's your
unison.
cousins. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and then the other, the female voice is Daya Rawat. She used to live in Malibu. Now she's in the East Coast somewhere. And we did like 3 or 4 albums in 1 year with her. It was a nice combination. And then most of the sounds you hear, other than the bass and some keyboard parts, are from my former student Gabriel. That was the year he graduated from high school. You know, he
My
was.
friend, by the
Yeah.
way, my friend Roland just made you 0.0009 cents richer. He just bought it. Thanks, Roland.
Thank you. Thank you. My regards.
Sorry for interrupting.
That's fine. Yeah, Gabriel, I call him Gabi because I met him when he was 9, and we worked together for a few years until he finished high school. And he was studying bass, playing guitar, then bass, and then he came to my place. And at the end of, because he was gonna go to college, and it was kind of like the end of our collaboration. And I invited him to record some of the things that he had achieved to be able to perform, like Bach and some Moacir Santos pieces and stuff like that. And he fell in love with the production on the digital studio. I was using Pro Tools, and I said, well, I have this material that I did with John, jamming, and maybe we can use that as a basis to create something together. And and that's how that happens. And in the middle of all that, I was working on another album with Daya, and she came and sang because she really liked the electronica. And that's the year also I got in touch with my cousins, and I was in a video call with Ziad, and the instrumental version of this with no vocals was playing as I was trying to connect the audio so we could talk. And he was listening to the music, and he started improvising on it. And it was like, wow. So when I finally could talk to him, I said, could you please do that and record it and send it to me? And he did. That's how we collaborated.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it's him and Bisam Elmur. Elmur was the original last name of my father.
Ah, I see.
It means the bitter strong. It's so strong that it's bitter.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And Del Signore means in Italian, that's my mother's last name. It means of the Lord. And Eduardo comes from Anglo-Saxon, which is used to be spelled Aedward.
Wow.
It means the guardian of the fortune.
Oh,
or treasure.
nice.
So when my father died, I started using my mom's name more.
Yeah.
And because I like what it created, that was my given name, the guardian of the fortune of the Lord. I like that. It's a big responsibility.
It certainly is.
But it's why not? We all are. That's humanity. That's the fortune of the Lord. It's not a golden chalice. No, that was stolen from the Native American, the Native people in South America.
Gosh, I've been reading. It's a Native American book. It's the speech, a famous speech by Chief Seattle.
Oh yeah.
Seattle was named after, and that book just makes me weep. It's so he was amazing. He was like a guru, but he saw what was happening and he accepted it. It was at the time of Lincoln, and the Europeans were coming in, taking what they wanted. So he was peaceful, and he was making the transition peaceful and getting what he could for his people. But it was really sad. I mean, the book itself is from the speech. The title is "How Can You Sell the Air?" And it's just,
Right.
it's really, I can barely read it because it just makes me weep.
I read a quote by a Native American person that went to a Congress, to the Congress in Washington, and after he came out, they asked him, what do you think about that? And he said, left wing, right wing, same bird.
Wow.
That really is like
short and right.
Yeah, right to the point. Any other questions? So, I mean, you say earlier, people that work in farms and artists in Japan, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's just people that are in touch with nature, with the universe, with the earth. You know, it's that relationship.
Yep.
With, I mean, did you know that the Earth is rotating around its own axle at 18 kilometers per second?
I did not know
I
that.
mean, 18 miles per second.
Yes.
And then it's rotating around the sun at over 67,000 miles an hour.
Wow, that seems backwards almost to me.
Well,
the other way around should be more, that the Earth is spinning more and then around the sun less. But you're saying it's the other way around.
it takes a year, right?
Yeah,
And then around its axle is a day.
yeah,
But the thing is, like, there is no education about that, and we are educated to think that we have financial security and that we're never gonna die, and that you know, I mean, it's like you have no idea how lucky you are. I mean, you, me, everybody, you know, to be able to be alive in the middle of this universe that we're just taking pictures now. It's like we exist. That's enough to celebrate, you know.
yeah,
And try to learn from each other, try to, you know, learn about what the earth has to offer instead of killing it, you know.
yeah.
And the other species and all that. I mean, it's the lack of awareness, you know. Being asleep at the wheel is such a, it's awful. So I think we need to draw a longer line on the ground next to the one that this, I don't know, these people are drawing, you know, because there is so much work to do,
Yeah,
you know, and that's the only thing that is going to bring down the arrogance
yeah.
and the greed. You know what? Also, another thing that I learned not too long ago. You know what the antidote to greed is?
Not love, right?
Appreciation.
Oh, close. Yeah.
Yeah, very close, very close. Yeah,
Yeah.
to be able to know, to exercise the power of appreciation, which we have. It was also in the package.
Yeah, and you know what? Strangely, that's exactly what I was talking about driving, you know?
Ah, yeah,
Greed, guy is like pissed off and he's driving crazy
yeah,
and doing all weird stuff. And then I'm appreciating him.
yeah. You know,
That actually melts the shit away. Yeah.
Moacir Santos had his own way of dealing with that, and every time something like that could come up, he would say, "Oh, graças a Deus." It's in Portuguese means thank God.
Yes.
So I mean, if somebody would do something stupid, he would say, "Oh, graças a Deus."
Wow. He was a very special individual, wasn't he?
Oh God,
Yeah.
God, I miss him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a memory that I have of him playing at the Comeback Inn and in the moment directing people, directing the horns to play
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
whatever. Like in the moment, there were no charts. It was like,
Ah,
okay, you guys, you know, and
yeah.
it was, yeah, he was. I mean, that was just one memory, but beautiful soul, beautiful soul.
Yeah. My impression when I used to go to his house, I worked with him. He wanted me to play 6-string bass. He said, you know, 4-string bass is not enough. You need to have more range.
Yeah.
And he created a method in which we would study piano pieces like Chopin and different things,
Oh, really?
but you know, chorales and things like that.
Yeah.
And he would play one hand, the right hand. I would play the left hand of the piano, and then we would switch.
Oh,
So for that, he wanted like a wider range of for a 6-string bass, and actually at the time they were very expensive and very rare. You know, you wouldn't see them very often. And he knew about that, and I said, look, I mean, I love to do that, but I don't have money. I mean, it was like $3,600 to get one decent one. And he said, I still have it. He said, don't worry, you just find one and call me. And I was visiting my friends in West LA Music, that it was a store there in Santa Monica Boulevard. Yeah. And the owner of Warwick Basses, a German guy called Hans Peter, was visiting. And I was inquiring about 6-string basses, and then he said, oh yes, so we have this. They only had one model there, that was a streamer, and he put it on the ground, and then he started jumping on top of it. He's saying, you see, they're very resilient. And I said, cut it out, man, just don't do that. I know that you make these basses, but that's not good.
Oh my God.
So I say, look at my hands are not big enough for that separation of the strings, so I needed something a little smaller. And he said, oh, okay, so get the thumb bass. So I called my Moasir, and Moasir came, and like 20 minutes later, he was there at the store. He got his credit card and paid for it.
Wow.
Explain that.
A moment for feeling Moasir, man.
Whew.
Beautiful guy.
So to me, going to his house, and being there, he was there, his wife, and he had like little parakeets in the backyard. Nice backyard, and his wife would like create a whole meal in about 2 minutes when you were visiting. They were both from the north of Brazil. And to me, being in that house was being in the house and in the presence of music for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And we would get into these conversations, you know, we would start in something like this, and he would explain this, he would go like all around, and he had all these books to explain that, you know, a little bit like the ones in the back. And we'll get back to the original point, you know. So it was sometimes that would last hours. So, yeah,
that's great.
So I owe him. I mean, he was my very. I had many mentors and examples and references in my music career, but he solidified everything, really.
Yeah, I was going to tell you. I don't think I told you this, but years ago there was a show that David Sanborn had called Saturday Night Live or something. Not Saturday, it's something where he would have kind of unplugged guests. And the first one, my husband and I just were watching and crying all the way through it. It was Milton and James Taylor.
Yeah.
And they performed together, and it was like, what? It was just unbelievable.
It's not that a dream in Rio. Yeah, James came to that Natal Symphony concert.
Oh.
And they sang those songs together. Yeah.
Oh God, talk about.
Yeah, I had the fortune of meeting James Taylor backstage. We were waiting to go on stage, sitting on a stairway.
Yeah.
And I told him, you know, stories about my experiences with his music, and he would tell me the stories from his side of why he wrote those songs, you know. It's like, it was beautiful.
Gorgeous. Yeah, I grew up in Boston, and so for me, James Taylor was a mentor in my mind, you know, not in reality, but also he had emotional problems, and I had been going through emotional problems in my late teens, and then the music itself, you know, it was just, so he was significant in my growth around that time, you know. I mean, I had always been into jazz because my dad was a sax player, but I grew up in the 60s and 70s, and that music was so significant.
Yeah, well, that beauty of human expression is in every style.
Yeah.
So a lot of time, many times, you know, in America, it's like everything has to be on a box. So what kind of music do you play? And I said, good.
Good music.
Good
And on
music.
that note, we're going to end off actually because
Yeah, I
2
was looking
hours.
at the
I'm
clock. Yeah.
sure we could talk for another 2 hours easily. But
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
thanks,
Yeah.
Eduardo. Thank you for being on and giving me, a few hours of your precious time. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. It's really nice to speak at a bit of length. Um, and Eduardo, once we realized that we had in fact really and truly met because at the place that I booked about 5 years ago, Bar Fedora, um, he played with a beautiful Brazilian woman, Eliana
Esteban.
Estevan, and that night was really absolutely packed. And Dionne Warwick was a friend also of both of them and came in and sang, and it was an amazing night. And Eduardo was the bass player, and maybe the musical director.
Uh, no, I think Freddy and Marcos Ariel, the keyboard player.
Oh yeah, Marcos was there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he was there too.
right.
Yeah, I let them do.
That was a great night. I have a
Yeah,
little bit of video on that actually.
really? Oh, I love to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll make a note to myself. Um,
yeah.
yeah, and yeah,
There was a guy videotaping the whole thing, Floriano
yeah.
from Brazil.
Um, is that his first name?
Floriano, yeah, I don't remember his
Yeah,
last
I
name. He
remember.
used to work at the consulate, and
Oh,
then
yeah, I know him. Yeah.
mhm.
Um,
I haven't seen him in ages, and then all of a sudden he shows up there, and it's like, that's you.
right,
He
right.
looks smaller for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, have a great day. And just to let you guys know, the next 4 days I have archives up. You can go in and then actually next week, Sylvia Brooks is on Monday, a singer, and Mari Noble, a singer, is also on Tuesday, and then Sunny Paxson is on
Honey.
Wednesday. She's a great pianist who has worked with Eduardo.
Yeah. Well, I met her working with Eliana. She when the original keyboard player and drummer, uh, the keyboard player went back to Brazil. Eliana got a hold of Sunny, and that's how we met. We were playing at La Ville like 4 nights a week.
Yeah,
That's how we,
it's crazy.
yeah, it was, and that's how we met Dion. Anyway, there's too many stories.
There's so many stories. Do you know Joey Heredia?
Yeah.
He's my brother-in-law.
Oh, no kidding.
Well, the Garcia part. Yeah,
Oh,
my first husband, who I was with 17 years, that was his half brother. So Joey and I, we were in our 20s together.
last time I saw him, he was riding a motorcycle somewhere.
It's been a while, I think. I think
Yeah.
yeah, he lives in, I guess it's Burbank area.
No. Well, we played together for another Brazilian singer at the time was Marta Santos.
Oh, yeah.
She passed away a couple of years ago, unfortunately, and kind of like sudden. But anyway, yeah, that's why I met Joey. Joey,
Yeah.
yeah.
You guys probably played great together, I'm guessing.
We have fun. I remember having fun. Yeah.
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 All right. Well, have a great day. Thank you so much. And I want to talk more and
Anytime.
I'll send you some stuff
Yes.
and yeah, I'll contact you about La Puglia too.
Right. And the Code Peace Foundation, if you want to, let's talk more about it.
Okay.
Because I mean, we're open for suggestions. We
Okay.
take requests.
Okay. Great.
So anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Eduardo.
So good to see you.
You
Take
too.
care.
Thank you so